This video and others like it are made possible by our advertisers, such as the Sky Forest Inn. Visit the historic and newly remodeled Sky Forest Inn on Highway 18 in Sky Forest, or visit their website at skyforestin.com.
Phones at this time, but aside from that, we are ready to get started. And to kick us off, present us with our agenda and kind of the format of the meeting. I'll say one thing and then kind of pass the mic here. We are not having a town hall style meeting, as you might recognize from lots of other meetings, maybe MAC or some other places where you've been involved in civic civic involvement. This is an informational meeting, so the idea is that we're going to share as much information as we possibly can, get you up to speed on the things that we know, and then there will be a time for Q&A afterwards, but it won't be town hall style. It'll be more along the lines. We want it to be very personal, and so we'll talk about that and describe that when we get to that time. Okay? So to introduce our chairman of our committee and president of our nonprofit, Bill Miller. Please give Bill a warm welcome.
Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. We're at a process that's been going on now for almost 2 years, as we've been just looking into concerns that are happening within our community and how can we address those concerns. There were a number of issues that took place over Lake Gregory and the management of Lake Gregory over the last couple of years. That led several of us to start meeting to say, how can we secure the management of that lake? Well, in just that discussion alone led us to attorneys and other individuals, and attorneys said one of the things that you need to do if you really want to have a say over your lake and your community, you need to consider incorporation. That started several of us thinking. From there, we actually formed this committee. And that this committee is about to expand. We've already been setting up some other committees. You'll hear more about that tonight as well. Most of you, I hope, have already received an agenda for what we're going to do for the evening. Initially, I want to introduce each of the members of the committee that have already been serving, and you'll see that I think we have a pretty good cross-section of the community. We have a grocer, we have a seniors advocate. Like, not John, so it's Penny and I are the seniors up here, it looks like. So. We have an attorney in John Short. We also have an executive from actually here at Thousand Pines, which really takes in a gamut of involvement. I'm actually the pastor at Crestline First Baptist. I also have a coffee shop that I tend to work a little bit at as well, Higher Grounds Coffee Shop, which I do have to say one thing, and that is that next Monday evening, there is going to be basically a meet and greet of the candidates for the school board. And that's going to be at Higher Grounds Coffee House next Monday. That's, I believe, is that the 15th. Monday evening, 6 o'clock, Higher Grounds Coffee House. And I thought that's really kind of apropos. Because one of the things that we need is the ability to have local decision-making, local jurisdiction over our community. Cityhood and the opportunity for cityhood gives us that chance. And I was even thinking, we ought to try to imagine tonight, if we had a city council and Mayor Hill was standing up here in his city council meeting. The really special thing is that you come into this room and you recognize, when you laughed, you knew exactly who I was talking about. You recognize that person. You have the ability to see them in the post office, at Goodwin's Market, out on the street, maybe even at Higher Grounds Coffee House, I don't know. But you actually have the opportunity to see people around the community. That's very different than the present representative government that we have. We have one person who represents us right now. And she does a job, and I know there's all different kinds of opinions about Janice Rutherford, but I think she has tried her best to do a lot for this community and to represent us well. But she is only one voice in 5 voices that speak to all different areas of responsibility. And that actually hinders us. In addition to that, let's face it, There is a lot that happens on this mountain that is simply different than the rest of our county. Our issues and our needs are so different that even the county has a challenge dealing with us. So we really see that there's some value in us looking at how can we form local government made up of the people of this community who we would then know and we could actually talk to, and then we could make decisions. Well, with that in mind, she's on the bottom of the list. I'm not going to let her be on the bottom of the list. Penny, would you please come and share with us why you believe we should incorporate? And you're welcome. You can actually take it off and move it over, and then leave it alone.
I don't want to stand with you.
And they're going to show it. Okay, then take it off like this. There you go. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, everybody. I'm really glad you're here. I was hoping to be last because I was going to say ditto. You're going to hear a lot of good reasons why we should incorporate, but let me tell you why it's important to me. I'm a nonprofit advocate. I'm a very strong advocate for senior citizens. Crestline Senior Citizen has been my home for 11 years now, and we have a senior nutrition program that we've been putting out for the seniors that are 60 years of age and older for all of the 11 years I've been with them. This is a great thing for our community. How many of you know what a CDBG grant is? Anyone? We got a couple of people. I can't even see you people because the light is so bright. This is a community development block grant. It's federal funding that goes down to states, and states take it to counties. For years, my nutrition program was receiving CDBG funding, community development block grants. It was heavenly. In 2012, our supervisors of our county said, no more CDBG funding for rural areas. I never found out why they picked rural areas, and I lost that battle because we lost our funding. That's $40,000 a year. That was a lot of money to me. I go to provider meetings with the other providers in our county, and I'm so jealous because they still get CDBG funding. If we were incorporated, we would get some money for the nutrition lunch for our seniors. That strikes me with a passion that strikes my heart. And that is something that I'm very, very passionate about, is getting some more federal money for our programs. I'm tired of having to be taxed because we're a rural area. We went through 5 years of fighting the CAL FIRE tax, the fire fee tax. That lasted for 5 years. Now we're looking at a county fire tax. They're going to impose on us again because we're a rural area. We can change that, folks, just by incorporating. Are there any questions on nonprofits or CDBG funding or anything? I'm scot-free. Okay, who's next, Bill?
Thanks, Penny. And he is the host for us tonight from Thousand Pines, Steve Garcia.
Before I begin, I just noticed some folks coming in and still standing around. We do have plenty more chairs. I see a lot of open space here. And if you want to come in, we've got more room in the splash zone up here, but we've got room for you. I've worked in my professional career for over 4 or 5 municipalities. City of Salinas, City of Monterey, Fresno, Clovis, and the City of Kingsburg. And in each of the cities that I worked for, I saw a lot of pros and cons of being an incorporated city. The last city I worked for, the City of Kingsburg, was roughly about the size of Crestline. Almost the same demographic, almost the same median income, poverty rates, crime rates as well. Almost exactly the same. We had clean streets. We had real sidewalks with curbs. We had several departments that the city and the community really benefited from, like a city-owned and operated, run Parks and Rec department. I was the pool operations manager. I reported to City Hall. I worked with Public Works, and I saw how the streets were managed and maintained. And from my experience, I can say that incorporation can be a good thing. Not only that, in terms of population and property values, at the time that I left the city of Kingsburg, it was smaller than 10,000, and their median property value was almost exactly the same as what we have now. And they had a very functional fire department, police department, all the water, sewer services, all the utilities that you need, and as well as some of the benefits. And parks were very nice. Recreation was top-notch. And from my experience, what I've seen living here in Crestline is some sorely missed services. You know, we wanted a sidewalk years ago. You guys know what I'm talking about? How many of you were here when that sidewalk was being put in? And initially we were excited. All right, we're getting a real sidewalk. It's going to be safe. We're going to go from one end of town to the other. We're going to have maybe some decorative, lamp posts, right? We're going to maybe bury some of this electrical underground. This is going to be a great little spot. What we got was a decorative path that was level with the street because they didn't want to remove parking space. And the end result is and it starts and stops throughout the town. It's my understanding as well about our library in town. We've got a nice library, don't we?
Yeah.
One of the most expensive libraries per square footage ever built in the state of California. Are you aware of that? Are you aware that the McDonald's in town, at the time it was built, was literally the most expensive McDonald's that had ever been built in the history of McDonald's? Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Are you aware of the sanitation district when it was run, solely operated by the county, that at one time it was recommended, hey, this sanitation district needs to go and be its own special district. And initially the response from the county was, oh, there's no way you can afford it. It's subsidized. It doesn't run in the black. We keep this thing going. And the sanitation district, are you aware that it's in great need of improvement and upgrade? $10 million plus upgrade. Are you aware of that? And the county said there's no way that it could be done. As it started to look into it becoming its own district and realized that pulling it from county management and it becoming its own district, guess what they found out? Somebody told them, hey, don't just take those numbers that were given to you. Go back and talk to this guy who's stuck in the back corner down here in the office in the county building. That guy knows the real numbers. And once they did the research, guess what they found out? $1 million. $1 million a year. They could operate the sanitation district for $1 million a year in savings. End result is several years after now that it has been brought as its own service. $1 million a year they've been saving. And they're I don't know how far, maybe almost halfway to the upgrade that's much needed. But that's only because they pulled away from county management and became self-managed. If I asked you this question, I said, if you found out that there were $4 to $5 million a year of our tax dollars going out from this community, and $4 to $5 million worth of services that we're not receiving, but we could be benefiting from, would you not also agree that we should incorporate as a city?
No.
Some of you may not. Some of you may not. And you're entitled to your opinion, either way. But we're here to share with you our reasons why we think that we should, and we're here to share with you why we think there are benefits to it. We still need community support to make that happen, and that's why we're here to just share with you the process so far. My name is Steve, and thanks for your time.
Thanks, Steve. Usually I find him at Goodwin's Market. He spends a lot of time there. But he's a soccer coach, Mike Johnstone.
I don't get to go on the end and say ditto, so. I don't know how many of you have been in the store in the last 7 months, 8 months, and you've seen the big tarp going right down the middle. I walk by it and twitch every day because it drives me crazy. Initially, the building and safety process took forever for us to expand our business and to do something new there. And so I was kind of upset over it, and Mick Hill kept coming into the store almost on a daily basis saying, we gotta go city, we gotta go city. And so that was in the back of my mind, and Bill had hit me up and said, hey, we should really look into this incorporation thing. I was against it. And I said, you know what, I'll get on this thing and I'll start looking into it. I want to start looking at the numbers and let's see where it is. I don't think it's going to work out. The study that the county did a while back showed that it wasn't going to work. And that was what the perception was in the community. So I ended up getting onto this committee, and it seems like on a weekly basis as we're doing our research, there's just more and more things that keep popping up that look better and better for our community. I'm a big advocate for the businesses in the community. I meet with a lot of them on a weekly basis. I'm active on the chamber, and so I see the struggles that they go through, especially with building and safety, planning, those types of things. And I think it's kind of a chokehold on our community. It's causing us not to expand, not to be able to clean up. There's a lot of businesses that want to invest in this community, but they don't have the opportunity to. I think with more local control, we would have the ability to actually do a process where we can get somebody through the building and safety process in less than a year, in less than 8 or 9 months. Just having that local control is a huge thing for me. Parks and Rec is another thing. I have kids who are in the elementary and middle school right now. They have nothing in this community that offers them. Until they did something with Lake Gregory Rec, we had nothing. And we've been paying per parcel through Crestline for years and years, and we've had nothing to show for it. And so I think it's time that we stand up and we start fighting for these things. We have a beautiful community. We have so many resources here that we should be using better and utilizing better. And so I'm in a position where I'm going to keep fighting and keep looking into this to investigate. At the end of it, if we see that it's not feasible, I'm not the type of guy who's going to say, we got to go either way. I'm pretty level-headed, and I just want what's best for the community. So that's my story.
And then the fifth member of our committee has actually been extremely helpful as we've been looking at all of the financial and legal issues that are involved in the incorporation process. And after John shares why he believes in incorporation, he's going to move on with the next point of our agenda, which is, won't this just add another level of government? You'll see, if you don't have an agenda, there is agendas right here in front. And if you'll raise your hand, I'll even bring one to you so that you know where we're going. Thank you. Please make sure that you all get an agenda. And you'll notice that as we go through the evening, in addition to questions that we're trying to answer that we've been dealing with, there is a time that we have built that we hope will give the most opportunity for response from the community. We're going to be dividing up into 5 areas in the room and inviting you to meet with one of the members of the committee and to share any concerns that you have, to ask questions that you have that can help us as a committee as we continue to look at this process. But here you'll notice there are a number of questions we're going to be dealing with tonight. What is going to be the scope of incorporating Lake Gregory? Here's one that some of you might be interested in. Is incorporation financially feasible? Probably nobody wants to know about that. What will the name of the city be? The order is there. We'll be discussing each of these items, and then we'll be breaking up at the end of the evening. So with that, let me introduce John Short. He is a member of the Lake Gregory Improvement Committee and a very special man.
Good evening, friends and neighbors. One of the things that I think is going to be beneficial to the community would be to have local control. I think if we get people making local decisions who live here locally on the mountain, it's just got to be better. San Bernardino County, as you know, is one of the largest counties in the nation. It requires an hour and a half just to drive up and down the mountain if you need to go down and personally meet with the Board of Supervisors. If you want to go to a city council, a meeting at the Board of Supervisors. And, it's an hour and a half. If we got snow, we got issues up here, we got snow, you may not be able to get to work one day because you got snow blocking your driveway. You've got to wait for the snow plow to come through and plow your road. Kids can't go to school. we've got fire, we've got flood. Boy, it's a great place to live, isn't it? We've got issues with parking. We've got a lot of issues here that are local issues. And a lot of the Board of Supervisors may not have a good, thorough understanding of that. Now, we've got Robert Lovingood is one of the supervisors. He lives up in the high desert. He's up in Victorville, and he maintains a local office up there. So you can go to Victorville and see him. We've got Josie Gonzalez. Josie Gonzalez is another of the supervisors, and she handles Bloomington. She handles Glen Helen. She handles Muscoy, among other areas. Again, she's not up on the mountain. We've got Kurt Hagman. It's another of the supervisors. He's down in Chino Hills. He's got a local office down there, so you can run to Chino Hills and talk to him if you have some issues. We've also got Jim Ramos. He's a little more local. And then we've got Janice. Now, Janice I've been happy with Janice. I think she's standing behind us on the dam improvement. And she's really been in the trenches with us on that. But like Bill was alluding to earlier, there's 5 supervisors. Janice has only got 1 vote. We don't know if these other people have the knowledge, have the expertise. I don't know when was the last time anyone saw anybody other than Janice up here on the mountain, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody up here. So that's one of the things we want to do, is explore getting people where you can see the people on the city council, and you can see them in town. You'll see them at the grocery store, the coffee shop, anywhere. And that's what we're looking for. Like Mike said, if this doesn't pan out, if it doesn't look good, if the money's not there, if the community support is against it, that's it, we drop it. But right now, we're in an initial phase where we're exploring this to see what we've got on our hands, and is it something that we want to grasp and go with. Turning to the next topic on the agenda, Bill was talking about, won't this just add another layer of government to us? Well, if you remember back to your high school civics, we've already got 3 layers of government right now. We've got federal government, we've got a state government, and we've also got local government control of our community. Because we're in an unincorporated area of San Bernardino County, our local government is the county of San Bernardino. So if we get people changing that around, if we swap over, if we have local community, if we have a city, our local government will then be the local community, whatever the name may be. We will no longer have the county of San Bernardino making the decisions with these 5 board of supervisors from disparate parts of the county. So that's one thing to think about. Thank you.
John, and now you're welcome not to applaud, okay? But if you have a seat next to you that's open, would you please raise your hand? For those of you who are standing in the back, unless you want more brownies, you're welcome to come to these seats, and we definitely want those brownies eaten up as well. But please feel free to sit down. If you're also in the back and just come in and did not get an agenda, does someone have them? They're all passed out? Okay, so there's 100 copies of the agenda. If some of you have come with more than one person in your group, if you could share an agenda with someone who doesn't have one, that would be helpful as well. So then our next question then is, what's the scope of Incorporate Lake Gregory? And so I'm going to ask Penny to walk down by the map, if you would. Penny, you can put that microphone there. And I think this is the stairs that you need to use. And the scope that we're looking at, and I should also share with you, we're working with an organization called LAFCO. LAFCO is a state agency with responsibility for making sure that all local government agencies are properly funded. They monitor and oversee that entire process. LAFCO will actually be the organization that will determine the scope, the area that we would be if we have a city. I'm sorry? LAFCO. Local Agency Formation Commission and Organization. I'm really close there, and someone else will correct me on that. But
Correct, Phil.
okay, thank you. And they're state-run. There's one. Every single county has a LAFCO. In fact, they're all across the country. And LAFCOs oversee the financial process. They actually examine and look and see. They will be the ones that we will be working with to examine the numbers and say, is this feasible? So the area that we're basically looking at, because there's a number of things that have come together. When the original study was done by Janice Rutherford, done by LAFCO and an organization called RSG, then that preliminary study looked at across the mountain, called it Rim of the World. And then they were looking at the possibility of a city that would run from here all the way to Running Springs. But as a part of that process, they broke down 3 different areas. The Crest Forest Fire District, or the Crestline Sanitation District, the Lake Arrowhead, which is its own special district, and then the Running Springs, which they had a different word for, and I'm forgetting. Hilltop, thank you. And that was the Hilltop area. So it was 3 areas. We're specifically looking at the area that's boundaried as the Crestline Sanitation District, Penny.
Thank you. Okay, this is really hard to see, I know. I'm standing up close and it's hard for me to see. But you can see the outline here, the dark green. This is the Crestline Sanitation District. Over here is Cedar Pines Park. I encourage you to come up here afterwards and look closely at it. Cedar Pines Park is at the far end of this district, and it comes all the way through Crestline, Lake Gregory, Valley of the Moon, all the way to Grandview. Grandview. And that's over by just the other side of the street is the Sheriff Department. So that is the entire district that we're looking at. Again, this is a LAFCO thing, but this is what we're looking at as far as incorporation. So all the way from Cedar Pines Park to just before Twin Peaks, not including Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is over here in the white. Okay?
Thanks, Penny.
You're welcome.
So please take a look at the map, and you'll see the area that we're referring to. And frankly, we're not going to be able to determine. I know there's been some conversation out in the community already that says, well, why aren't we including Running Springs, or why aren't we including Twin Peaks? LAFCO is going to restrict, based on service area, what we would actually cover. By the way, the Crestline Sanitation District has its area of responsibility and then its sphere of influence. And you'll see that that sphere of influence goes out into Cedar Pines Park as well as down to Silverwood Lake. Did you have something else?
I just wanted to shout out to Rick. Are you here, Rick? Rick Deaver? Thanks, Rick. Rick from Sanitation District brought this over, and he said he brought his staff over to carry this over for us. So thank you very much. He said it's very fragile. So I don't want to even touch it. So thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's thank Rick. Steve Garcia is going to come now and say, what's going to happen to the special districts? And then, so Steve?
Well, I might not know all the exact technical terms. Greg, you might be able to do a better job at this than I will. But the short of it is just simply this. The special districts there are 5, really 6 services that are required if you incorporate as a city. We've got them listed on the next slide. It literally says which services are required to be managed. Now, how they're managed, there is some negotiation and debate on how those are managed. But you've got them right there. Water, fire, law enforcement, parks and roads, and sewer. A lot of cities, a lot of municipalities consider water and sewer to be one thing, or one district. We've got them separated here. What's required of a city is to make sure those are provided for and managed. Some of those services can be contracted out. For example, one of the cities that I investigated, literally went to, and it had to do with median property values, poverty rates, and all the other demographics where we kind of matched up with other cities in the state of California. I went to the city of Placerville. I met with the city manager and their CFO, and I sat down, went through their entire financials, went through their budget. They were very open, gave me everything. and ask them how they are managing these services and how are they affording them. How's their tax base? When their property values are very similar to ours, how does their tax base support these services? And so as we looked at the numbers, we found out why and how they work out. We'll talk a little bit more about that on one of the later reports here. And the end result is they contract out some services and they retain in some services. So in their city, they have their own city police department. Are you aware that our county sheriffs right now, they're doing the best they can. They're fully staffed right now. They give a report every month at the MAC. I sit on the MAC for Crest Forest, and they give a report. They're fully staffed. They're doing great. They're also fighting crime. They're arresting criminals, and they're doing good stuff in our community. And we have a lot of respect and thanks that we owe to them. But are you aware that they only have, at any given time, 2 or 3, you guys know this, right? 2 or 3 deputies on, patrol officers on, patrolling everything from Cedar Pines Park to Running Springs at any given time. In terms of land mass and in terms of population, the city of Placerville matched up with us in terms of that demographic. They have 2 or 3 police officers on patrol 24 hours a day just for that same. In other words, what we should be operating with is 2 or 3 police officers dedicated to, on patrol, dedicated to the community of Crestline 24 hours a day. And their tax base supports it entirely. So how the services work is basically we are responsible to provide for them. Some would be contracted, some would be managed, brought in, and managed by the city itself.
Thanks, Steve. One of the things that LAFCO says is, and I'm going to quote from some of their documentation, says, the Commission requires that a new city shall assume jurisdiction over all community-based special districts serving the Incorporation area. A clear and compelling rationale must be provided if the continued overlay of a community-based district is proposed. In addition, it says, it is important to note that the revenues of enterprise districts, so that would be a water district, a fire district, et cetera, which are generally water, wastewater, and electric utility agencies, are restricted in use to only those functions for which the rates are charged. A district, for example, sanitation district, charges certain fees. Those monies all must be used for the sanitation district. Now, there are obviously administrative costs, and we'll come to that later. So, what does that mean? It means that the revenues, expenditures, obligations, and reserves of Crestline Village Water District, Crestline Sanitation District, Crestline Lake Arrowhead Water Agency, which does have some local customers, and county service areas, among just a few, must be isolated and protected so any incorporation effort to be contemplated. In other words, in the formation of a city, those things that are already being funded must continue, and that's required. We want to move on, though, to the question that several of us have had before we even got involved. Mike Johnstone mentioned it. I think John did. For quite some time, especially, I sat in the meetings where we saw the preliminary report that was presented by LAFCO and to LAFCO from RSG. I read that report and I said, it's impossible. In fact, I remember a gentleman named Greg Rice, who happens to be seated over here at the right, saying, oh no, there are significant reserve monies that could be available. There's a lot more income that could be raised. And I said, yeah, right, what have you been smoking? Anyways, no offense meant, Greg. But as I looked at it, I said, I really don't believe that the finances are there. And I think most of us have come onto the committee saying, let's examine this, let's look carefully. So we have not come to the committee saying, oh, we just know this is going to work and let's go into this blindly. But there's a tool that I want you to take a look at. We put one on every other chair. It's a very special report. It's known as the Rim of the World IFA Sensitivity Analysis. I'm not going to go through every detail of it. For those of you who have copies, I believe we made about, was it 75, Steve? There are about 50 copies out there, so please share them. We'll print up more. These are also online on our website. There's a link where you can look at this document as well. But I think that this document is the missing piece why I found out that Greg wasn't smoking something unusual. And if you look at it, the first page talks about the initial feasibility analysis that was presented. RSG is the organization that did the evaluation for Janice Rutherford, funded by her office, and then presented to the local, to LAFCO. By the way, there it is up there, Local Agency Formation Commission. There's again the wording that you were looking for earlier. If you turn the page to page 2, this is why when I first got the report, I said, see, there's proof. It can't work. If you look at what it would cost, and right here's the first table, general fund net revenue, that based on the study that RSG did, with 2% tax base coming to the new city, you would have a revenue deficit of $5.6 million the first year. I said, there's proof. It can't work. However, what RSG did was they went on to look at further scenarios. Scenario 1 is the modification to transient occupancy taxes. Fees for service slightly reduces staffing levels and savings from the consolidation of special districts and service areas. There would be a 15 to 25% reduction in costs because of the consolidation of administrative services. Instead of many water districts having many people over them, you would have one utilities, one water department. Perhaps it's actually formed like Crestline Village Water District with the kind of management style that they have, the kind of tools and resources that they have. And that would be a structure that would go over our entire city. Well, that savings alone, let's look to the next page then, page 3. We go from a $5.6 million deficit to only a $3.6 million. No, see, it's not going to work. There's our only dollars, right? That's the only opportunity. But then you look at scenario number 2. This is on page 4. Scenario number 2 is critical. Take out a pen, circle what's right in the middle of the page, property tax share transfer. There's a property tax share that is shared with every city from San Bernardino County. And what this statement here says, if you look at that carefully, it says RSG determined that a 14.5%, 15% in the no hilltop analysis share would solve for annual deficits in the first 5 years and allow for a little breathing room. If this committee that has formed, and we will be working on this, and other subcommittees that we'll be having, will be working on evaluating and assessing and going through all of the dollars and each of the services that are being offered right now by the county. Every service that is offered here by the county, that responsibility comes to the city, but also the finances that go with that responsibility must come to the city. However, we need to make sure we don't make the mistake that one of our sister cities did. They were in such a rush for cityhood, they negotiated nothing, they said they're going to grow plenty, so they simply got 2%. In fact, if you look at the cities across our county, they actually are getting from 2% from one city up to 19.5% of the tax share. If we simply get 14.5 or 15% of the tax share, now look at table number 2, and suddenly you have a tax revenue positive of $3.4 million. If you add to that modifications that occur in the sales tax and modifications that occur in the annual assessed values of property, and every time a property changes ownership, it's again reassessed, and those values change, as you all know, and thank God our property values have been going up. I think that's a good thing, correct? I'm not supposed to ask questions, I'm sorry. Look at what happens. On that basis, now, and it's It's only a $200,000 increase. But based on just the very simple 2 to 2.5% potential increase in property values, you actually go now from a 3.4 million positive to a 3.6 million. What's the summary of all this? Based on the preliminary work performed in the IFA, the rim of the world could face severe financial challenges. That's true. But the sensitivity analysis identifies options for mitigating the projected net negative general fund balance. While these changes or others could improve the fiscal outlook, it will take substantial increase in the general levy property tax share would be critical to incorporation. And this whole process that we will have to be walking through will be negotiating those numbers and seeing that we get all those details. There are supporting documents that continue in that, and please, these documents are also available, like I said, on the website, incorporatelakeGregory.org, which you'll hear more about later. And next on the agenda, I just lost my agenda, so you won't tell me about it. Next slide. Oh, this one I know no one is concerned about, and no one has any thoughts about this, Raymond Ray, about what this city might be called, or why we've actually called ourselves Incorporate Lake Gregory. Mike Johnstone, what will we call this city?
I want to get something straight first, right out of the gate. So, Incorporate Lake Gregory is the name of the nonprofit that we started. The core group up here. That was a general theme of this area. Lake Gregory is kind of the heart of the community. We thought that was a good name. I think some people have taken it that we're dead set against, oh, it's got to be Lake Gregory City. That's just the name of the 501c3 that we've started so we can generate revenue. So what we've decided and what we think would be best is to do a campaign across the whole community to have the community decide what the name would be of the proposed city. So we'll be talking about it just a little bit, but we're going to do a couple subcommittees. One of them will be a public relations committee. And so we're hoping, we need lots of volunteers for that one, that committee would actually be able to go out to the community and do a campaign to see what the actual name would be and what the census would be, and then we would all vote on it and carry on with that name. So the name would carry on based on what all of you guys and what the community decides. And this name is very important because, one, obviously there's a lot of history with Crestline with that name, you know, and so a lot of things are established with that. And so, you know, this is a big deal moving forward. This is our legacy for all of us, and so this is, I think, a key part of this. And so there'll be a lot of effort and resources put into that. And when we go to apply to LAFCO through this process, we have to have that name established. So that's something we're going to have to do fairly quickly. Once we go in to put in the actual application and we start moving forward, that would need to be there. All right?
So there is some history. If you put money in a jar at one of the bars, and that's how you win whatever the city name is. The reason why we've called ourselves Incorporate Lake Gregory, we believe that Lake Gregory is at the heart of our community, has significant economic value to our community, has been an issue for our community. But also we said, look, if we name our committee based on any one of our communities, we're going to exclude something else. Cedar Pines Park is not Crestline. You have areas like Dark Canyon, you have areas like San Marin. So there's a variety of different locations that make up the Crestline Sanitation District that sphere of influence. So it's all a part of the process, but we will be inviting the community to really make that decision. Okay, John, what does it cost? And tell us about the process of incorporation. And you've got 10 pages, and you've got 4 minutes.
Just the short story is that it's going to be a long process and it's going to be expensive. I'd like to spread that out a little bit now. What we're looking at, we met with the people from LAFCO, we met with the outgoing executive director and the incoming, just a couple weeks ago. We had a fantastic meeting. I think it was very positive. The feedback from them was positive as well as far as what we are doing. What they told us is this process could take 2 to 3 years from the beginning, from the time we actually start up with LAFCO involvement. It could be 2 to 3 years from that period on. Also, this could cost $100,000 more or less. Now, Bill has agreed to pay most of that, and that's really good news. And I've got a handout that's based on the LAFCO San Bernardino entity, and it's just basically a 3-page, 4-page summary of what the timeline is. I'll set that out on the table afterward. But I want to go through that just real briefly. To start this process, what we have to do is get a petition of registered voters, and we're going to need about 25% of the registered voters to acknowledge that they want to proceed with cityhood. Before we can start that, we have to file a document with LAFCO that is a notice of intent to circulate petition. Once we file that with LAFCO, that starts a 6-month clock, and that's when we start running around trying to get signatures from all the landowners in the community. We want to get 25% is the magic number we need, and of course we're trying to get more than that. If we can get 35, 40%, that allows for any that are knocked off because they actually don't live in the community, they're not a registered voter, or for whatever reason it may be. Once we get that done, after that 6-month passes, then we can file our application with LAFCO. And to do that, we have to provide a map and legal description of the boundaries. So by that time, we will either confirm or modify our existing map that we have here, and that'll be what we submit to LAFCO. They, I think as Bill was saying, LAFCO will have the final determination as to whether or not the boundaries will be this or that, but we go ahead and we have to submit one from the get-go. We also have to provide a justification for our seeking cityhood, and there's questions that LAFCO has that will acknowledge that. We also have to have a plan set forth for the transfer of any services that are already being provided and how the new city will actually provide services to its community. Also, if there's any other information that LAFCO has that we need to respond to, we'll do that at that time. This is an ongoing process with LAFCO. We work hand in hand through them through this process. Once we submit the application, then LAFCO takes it under their belt, and they've got it for the estimate is maybe a year. And so they review everything. They review the application, they look at all the financials, they run their own analyses on this, they have their own people examining it, and they come up with a comprehensive fiscal analysis. And that's going to be the key document to where they say, yes, you can financially do this project, or it's not going to happen. It's not going to work out. The numbers aren't there. And they want to ensure that the city will be fiscally stable, that it will be self-sufficient, and that the reallocation of revenues to and from all of the existing entities is done fair and equitably. They're not trying to punish anybody, but LAFCO will oversee the process to make sure everyone gets paid. If this works out and an application is approved by LAFCO at that point, after roughly a year, so you can see already we got 6 months to do the petition, we got a year in LAFCO, it's a year and a half right there. And so this is the long process. Once that gets completed, LAFCO will set a hearing. They'll have a public hearing, at which time they will consider the staff report. They will take testimony from people for and against, and that's an opportunity to come in and talk to LAFCO about that. Their offices are down in San Bernardino train station. I don't know if that's where they actually will hold the meetings or not, but that'll be downstream, and we'll make sure that all that information is out there. At the conclusion of the public meeting, LAFCO will either approve it, deny it, or they may conditionally approve the process, the application, and they may say you need to do X, Y, and Z, and then you'll be fine. Within 30 days of LAFCO's decision, any person or any affected agency can go ahead and ask LAFCO to reconsider. And at that point, LAFCO will go in and they'll consider whether or not there was good cause and whether or not the application should continue pursuant to their initial determination. After that process, there'll be a public hearing for a protest vote. And that's the last chance that people have to argue to LAFCO for why this should not proceed. Then the very last step in the process is there's a public vote of the community. That will be placed on the next ballot after LAFCO's approval. It'll be on the next ballot and everybody votes on it just on a regular election day. All we need is a simple majority of the affected persons, which will be within the boundaries, to approve the incorporation. And that's a quick summary of the LAFCO process.
You still have 15 seconds. There is a step that needs to occur before all of that. And it's one of the reasons for tonight's meeting. And it's a step in which we have to have an informal petition that says to LAFCO, we need information from you, and we need you to help us get the information to really make an educated decision on whether we should move forward with cityhood or not. So on the tables to my right and to my left, I believe there's some on the bar at the back as well, there is a petition for incorporation for the town of Lake Gregory. That's, again, just what we're using right now. We, the undersigned residents of the area surrounding Lake Gregory, Crest Forest, Crestline, Valley of Enchantment, Cedar Pines Parks, and San Moritz, in the county of San Bernardino, believe the area of the Crestline Sanitation District and its sphere of influence should be incorporated as a town. Our desire is to investigate the feasibility of cityhood for the provision of safety, planning and development, and we could have said a lot more about that tonight, of our mountain community, and for the betterment of existing services and direction of future growth opportunities. By retaining local control and oversight of tax revenues, we hope to ensure improved direction of those resources for the provision and enhancement of services to the communities of Lake Gregory. We hereby request the local agency formation commission provide the basic data required from the registrar of voters, the assessor, the franchise tax board, and I think I have that wrong. Is that correct? It should be the Board of Equalization, so we'll have to correct that on there. But there's a place for you to sign, print your name, your street address, and the date that day. And this is not, you're not voting for it, but you are saying, yes, please investigate. And that is a petition that's on the tables to my right and to my left. Steve, would you talk to us about how we can stay informed? I really think we need to pause with one thing. There's something that hasn't really come up. It didn't really come out in is incorporation financially feasible. It's important to understand that LAFCO is a friend of the community. LAFCO makes sure that a community, anybody, especially a service agency, a special district that is trying to form, that they are financially sound. One of the requirements is that in order to form a city, you cannot add any additional revenue stream. That means you cannot add any additional taxes in order to form the city. The revenue stream has to be present already in the services, in the districts that are already active. One of the big concerns is, will there be additional taxes? Will this cost people more? Well, frankly, I hope you're already seeing that we're talking about doing something that brings funds back to our community that are not here right now, and actually starts saving our community some funds and allows that to do things that maybe are not happening, like increase law enforcement, make sure that we have our own parks here in our community. But take note that at this point, in order to incorporate, you cannot increase any taxes. Now, obviously, I need to make one little caveat to that. Down the road, if the community voted to increase taxes, because that's what Proposition 13 says, That's what we should have the right for, which we don't have right now with the state tax fee that's being forced on us and things like that. We would have the choice of deciding whether we were going to increase taxes. But in order to incorporate, there cannot be an increase in taxes. Very important to hear that, I think. Steve, how do we stay informed? Because we're starting a process here. We're trying to investigate how do people stay informed?
Okay, so very basically, we have a website already built. There's a information sheet on there, and we're constantly going to be posting there into social media. We'll be pushing to Facebook and LinkedIn and other places. There's other boards. Pretty much anything that we do will probably be shared, I imagine, on other Facebook pages. The website is incorporatelakeGregory.org. You go to the website, at the top of the page, it says something to the effect, it says something like recent info, or whatever it says. When you get there, it's going to have upcoming calendar events. Our next event we're looking at, we're hoping to meet quarterly and do a meeting like this, an informational meeting, after the first of the year. So we want to keep doing this every quarter and keep everybody up to date on the progress and where we're at. So that's where you'll find the calendar dates. We're going to post those. We'll push those to social media. Also, there's a button right below there with a link. That hyperlink will take you to a page that has all the documentation that we have mentioned. If you go to that link right now and it says, links for Incorporate Lake Gregory documents, when you click on that, there's probably 7 different files there. Each one, they're substantial in and of themselves. But the feasibility study, if you wanted to have it and you don't, you want to read it yourself, it's very long. If you want to check it out, we've got it there for you. It's free, download it. The summary of the feasibility study, the maps, a number of other documents, including some of the ones that you have there. We've got it all posted on that website. I think there's 9 documents there. So if you want to be informed, dive into the website, get there. At the bottom of our website, there's a contact page. That contact page, you can give your name, information, whatever you want, and make whatever comments you want there. We'll respond to every email and every comment that comes through. We also have a phone number. That phone number is mostly just an answering service at this point, and we'll return any phone calls or any emails that come our way.
John, for the 15 seconds you didn't use, would you come back up, please? Okay. We have some committees that are a part of the main committee. Would you please just describe quickly some ways that you can participate?
Sure, I think the best way to do that is when we talk tonight, and we're going to break out into 5 different groups, and just talk with the different people. Give your name, give your telephone number, possibly an email address. And we've got, we're looking at legal, we're looking at PR, Mike was saying, we're looking at fundraising, big one. So we need to get some money. There's a lot of help that we could use from the community.
Good. And down the road, we're going to be dealing with things like employees, because they're a very important part of the process, the present employees. And we actually hope that this will actually bring more jobs to the mountain as we bring all those services under the umbrella of this community. We wanted to do something now to conclude our evening, and it's really probably the most important part of the evening. And that is, we need to hear from you. But in order to do that, we thought rather than trying to have one person at a time stand up, that will limit the kind of conversation that we can have. So here's what I'm going to do. Penny, if you would go, see where there's the white doors back there in the back of the room? Go say hello to Alan. Go say hello to our interim chief from CAL FIRE. That's your corner, okay?
I've got this 3-page document from last one. I'm going to go ahead and stick that on the table, so just feel free to grab one as you get home.
It's a 3-page document of what, John? That's the LAFCO timeline, if you want to look at the details of the LAFCO timeline. And then I'm going to stay right here. And here's what we want you to do. There are 3x5 cards that we put out on all of the chairs. If you have a question, if you want to put your name on there, if you have a concern, we would like you to go to the 5 members of the committee, pick one that you feel comfortable with, ask your question, share your concern, give your input. If you're willing to sign to say, yes, we should evaluate this. That's really the purpose of the petition on the tables. Yes, we should consider this possibility. We should find out whether it's financially feasible or not. Please go to one of those tables and sign the petition, or I believe that, as I said, they're on the back table. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
So for all of you watching live, that was the main portion of the meeting. What we're going to do is we'll get the small groups that are going around. We'll visit them so you can hear what's going on in the small groups. And if you have questions that you want asked of these leaders, let me know. I may even, if you are willing to come on camera and ask a question, there's a join this live video button on the bottom of your screen. If you push that button, it will bring you on the live video, and then we can actually talk to the people here, and you can have your questions asked. Otherwise, just type them in the comments, and I'll find someone to answer them for you.
Anybody can sign the petition. This is not a formal petition. This is a preliminary petition that tells LAFCO there are people more than just the 5 members of the committee that are interested.
Couple quick questions. Some of the online viewers want to know if there's a way to sign the petition online. Did you guys set up a digital petition at petition.org?
You know, he's trying to do that.
Okay.
And so that is supposed to go online soon.
Okay, as soon as it's on, let me know so I can get it out to everybody. Because you got.
And look, because if you want to, Ray, ask Steve, because he was working on that today, but I don't know if he got it on.
Okay, I can talk to Steve about that.
That's Steve's overseeing all of our website.
At some point, we've had over 1,000 people watching this from all over the mountain. They've got questions, but they can't obviously participate in the small groups. So if I could have you for like 5 minutes at the end to where I can get some of those questions out to you so that you get the answers out, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect.
Plus, that's really what we also have tried to set up online so that people can direct questions there to us.
Okay.
And that goes, we get that, and I'm already looking at things that come on there.
Okay, cool.
So that's the purpose of that.
Very good.
To help facilitate that. Thanks, Raymond.
You got it. So there you have it. IncorporateLakeGregory.org. IncorporateLakeGregory.org is the website that you can go to in order to be able to ask the questions that you want to ask. But I know some of you want to ask questions right now and get a live answer, so we're going to try and find somebody to answer some questions for you. And there's a very let's sneak in over here on this group and figure out what's going on. What's up, Lewis?
We don't know the extent of what the schools can do. We haven't actually got anything that may allow us more leverage to negotiate things.
It's going to be kind of hard to hear because we don't have a shotgun microphone for this device.
Unfortunately,
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Ring. How are you, man?
I'm
Good
all right.
to see you too.
This is Mike Johnstone from Goodwin's Market. Let's move around a bit. How's it going? All right, thanks. Let's go take a look at what Penny's looking at. This is that map everybody was looking at.
This is the map.
Anybody who's ever watched Dora the Explorer knows this is the map.
Look at this little guy right here.
I'm going to tell you the ambient noise in the room is very hard for us to catch any of the speakers unless we're talking to them directly, which I will try to set up for you. The only question I've seen so far is, could the name of the city change? That was Andrea Ibarra. Can you pack up? When you get a chance to pack up my shit? You gotta get out of here quick.
I'm the obnoxious Michelle Danoon. That's
Oh, nice.
always on your.
Hi, Michelle. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Did you get a chance? Yeah. Okay. Oh, lots of people here. Crestline. All right.
Like Crestline or Crest Rim? Crest Rim, but Rim takes the Rim and we're not Rim. We're Crestline. We're Crestline.
Depends on what we take.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good.
All right. What'd you think of tonight?
I'm excited because the first time I met Scott Markovich,
Yeah.
I didn't even know who he was, but we were talking about local things, and I said, well, why don't we talk about it at our city council? And he goes,
And we didn't have a city one.
There is none.
That works.
Such animals.
I hear you.
I was shocked.
I understand. All right.
This is progress.
For sure. So there you have it from one of the attendees who says this is progress. Well, this is Steve. We want to talk to Steve. But again, this is really hard to hear because there's so much talking in the room. It's very difficult. You got a group over there by the map. You have a group over there in the front talking to Mike Johnstone. Penny Shubnell's at the map talking to some other people. And then in the back corner over here, you've got, I saw John Short somewhere over here. So yeah, he's right there. Hiding in the back there. And then Pastor Bill. There's Rick Dinan. Let's go talk to Rick Dinan. He's a great guy to talk to. Rick Dinan always can let you know what his thoughts and feelings are. Howdy, how are you?
Howdy, how are you?
We are broadcasting live on Facebook.
Oh, are we?
I just want to get your thoughts and opinions on tonight. What do you think?
Well, I thought they did an excellent job giving us the highlights of the steps and the process necessary to move this along. And clearly, LAFCO is the key to this, and it was an interesting exploration of both the steps involved and the financial feasibility, at least the sensitivity study that they did in 2012.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to the maturity of this and the progression.
Perfect. Michelle,
Yes,
how are you? What do you think?
I'm fine. I'm feeling the same way as a member of the CCDA, which
Right.
is the Crestline Community Development Alliance. We are going to be here to assist in supporting and helping out maybe with some advising or fundraising or whatever it is, because that's what we're here to do.
Perfect.
So we will be having a meeting on the 23rd of October, and we are inviting the community to join us at the Lake Gregory Yacht Club, 606 Forest Shade.
606 Forest Shade Road at the Lake Gregory Yacht Club. What day?
October 23rd.
October 23rd.
At 5:30.
5:30 p.m. Now, are you going to have brownies and cookies
Oh, probably.
there just like they did
we'll
tonight?
Have goodies.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have goodies just to lure the crowd.
Just to lure the crowds. All right, very good. Let's see here. I got a questions that are being asked. That's going to be for Rick. No, Pastor Bill. All right, thank you very much. Okay, Ty Holyfield, I will ask your question. Hey, Dennis, how are you? How are you?
Hey, dude. How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
Wanted to talk to you about writing articles, but I haven't had a chance to even message you
Oh,
yet.
yeah, we'll talk about it.
For sure.
That will change. That will change. Hey, seen you in a while.
Hi, how's it going?
How's the towing business going?
Oh, I sold that a year and a half ago. I sold it a long time ago.
Oh, you did?
I did.
I was wondering why I never saw you.
Nope, I got rid of that. I'm doing
So
the
what are you up to now?
the Mountain Reporter.
The what?
Mountain Reporter.
Where's that for?
MountainReporter.com. It's a news website for the mountains.
Oh.
I'm broadcasting this entire meeting live right now.
Okay. So we're going to have to. You have to get the word out about that because I didn't know about it. Nobody
Okay.
talks about it. Come to the Crestline Connect meeting and let everybody know.
Okay.
You know, at 7:30 in the morning.
Of course.
We have about 40, 50 people there.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Greg, how are you, sir?
Good, how about you?
Good to see you. What are your thoughts tonight? You mind if I interview you real quick on live video?
No.
No?
I have to stay behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, okay.
There's a good reason for that.
All right, you got it. Ty, I'm trying to get over here to him ask your question.
No matter what the people, whether the vote is 25% or more.
So for those of you just joining us right now, we are broadcasting live a second broadcast from here in Crestline at Thousand Pines Camp. This is Whittier Chapel where they had the meeting tonight. It was a town hall meeting for the Incorporation of Lake Gregory. The main part of the meeting is over. This is the question and answer section. And in different parts of the room back there, you can see Mick Hill with John Short, and you've got Penny Shebnell over here. She's doing the mapping and explaining the boundaries. You've got Pastor Bill here. He's answering questions about the procedure. You've got Mike Johnstone over here. Mike Johnstone's answering a lot of questions as well. And then you see everybody's in like these small groups. They split the room up just to be able to answer everybody's questions individually, so everybody didn't have to wait and ask once at a time. However, I'm in a position where if you have questions about this process, post them. Yes, I can walk you over to the map in just a quick second. I'll do it right now. What we can tell you. Okay,
I need to write that down.
hang on. Let me show you the map, then we'll ask. So this is the map over here. Hi, Penny. As soon as they're done in front of the map, I'll move in.
With the sheriff, so when you post it, that's what the city is.
I'm looking at that. Looking at the street.
Not more, he'll just hire me. I don't think they get paid.
Yeah, so I get hiding from
Tell Brian to embed the first live feed, not this one. Hey, Penny, we got about 20-something people on here who would like to see the map. I wonder if you could possibly kind of walk them through it like you did during the meeting. They're not going to be able to tell what the areas are, but if you can kind of poke around and show the different communities of the map the way you did during the meeting, that'd be great.
Okay, let's start over here, way up here at the top. This is Cedar Pines Park.
So you got Cedar Pines Park.
Okay.
Now, is that going into Silverwood Lake or no?
No.
Okay, no Silverwood Lake.
Okay, then we go through Valley of Enchantment.
Valley of Enchantment, VOE.
Then we have Crestline.
Okay.
There's Lake Gregory.
Lake Gregory.
Valley of the Moon.
Dark Canyon, Valley of the Moon.
Okay. The dark green on here defines the border of the Crestline Sanitation District.
So,
It's all the way up here. This is kind of like forest area.
right.
And some of these lighter green areas are considered the sphere of influence. So we don't have hookups to the Crestline Sanitation.
Got it, but there's a sphere of influence.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the main boundary that they're really concerned with. I think what everybody wants to know is where's the boundary going to be between Crestline and Lake Arrowhead?
Grandview.
So this is Grandview Road right here. Runs down here. Grandview Elementary's on that road. Sheriff's Department's on that road. Over here. So this is a straight line that goes that little community up here off of 189 straight across to what appears to be Highway 18. Looks like red rock walls just poking out of here in the middle with no place to call home. But this area includes Highway 18 up to Twin Peaks, the Sheriff's Station, and down along Grandview Drive. Now, this would not include the seniors multi-structure building 700 North Grandview. That stays in Lake Arrowhead.
That stays in Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks, okay. So, very good. This is the map. I'm going to hold it back here if you guys want to take a screenshot of that on your phones. Here, Penny, I'm gonna go ahead and take your screenshots if you want to take a screenshot of that map. There you go. And see, we still have that question for Rick that everyone wants to, or actually Pastor Bill. Let's see if I can find him. Thank you, Penny, very much.
You're welcome, Ray.
Thank you. Where are we at? Anything? Okay. You okay? Okay. What was your head count?
It's embedded in the website now.
Right side of them, but it was over 100.
Over 100, okay. Okay, yeah.
Live feed is embedded on the website I was working on
Okay, so don't worry about it. Okay, we are going to talk to Bill real quick. For those of you just joining us, we are broadcasting live from Thousand Pines up here in the city of Crestline. This is the meeting where they're discussing the incorporation of Crestline, and it was given by a board of 5 members who sat there on that stage. If you go to mountainreporter.com, you can watch the original first half of this. And what we did, we separated it because this is the question and answer. I knew it was going to be a very loose format. I didn't want you to have to dig through all that to find information. Right now, we are getting some questions answered from our viewers, and we're just waiting on Pastor Bill real quick. And as soon as he's available, I will ask that question for Ty Holyfield.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, good.
I'm having municipal flashbacks since you read my
Okay, yeah. Well,
My assignment was annexing. Total population, how many permitted? What's the bond?
As soon as I can break in here, I'll get your questions answered.
12,000 in this area. Infrastructure maintenance, people live on the streets and counters with no place without it. We have 9 infrastructure.
Bill was the MC for the meeting. He kind of sped things along, kept everybody on track. And he's the one that spoke to the incorporation and taxes in the city situation. And so, Ty, I will get your question answered right now. Hopefully the map was explained very well. And we're just waiting our turn real quick to talk to Bill. Again, if you go to mountainreporter.com, you'll be able to watch the original live feed video, which was the majority of the meeting. This is the question and answer section after, where we can talk to the folks who are speaking up on stage and get your questions answered. But the actual meeting in its entirety, the 1 hour meeting, is on mountainreporter.com. It was live broadcast. We've also got HD video that was recorded and being put together now, and an article which will be written to get all of your questions answered.
Good. Yeah, the texting, oh my goodness. Okay, good, thanks.
Okay, Bill, how are you?
Hi, Ray.
Okay, everybody meet Pastor Bill. Pastor Bill was the one who was doing the emceeing of this entire meeting, kept everybody on track. But we have a question. This is in order to incorporate, they heard you say that you cannot raise taxes. What about after incorporation? What happens when we start to have budget shortfalls?
Well, you're not allowed, you cannot incorporate as a city and be approved by LAFCO without a 5-year plan that will not have budget shortfalls.
Okay.
So you have to plan this out 5 years. Now, none of us knows what's going to happen in the future, right? And none of us can truly control the future. But there's things that we can do to try to protect us in the future. For example, one of the concerns would be how much do we take on financially in things like fire, unfunded liabilities, and issues like that. So there's things that we have to be careful through the process that protects us so that we're not at a deficit down the road.
And which prevents the raising of taxes.
Exactly.
Okay, very good. Another question that just came up for you. Can you ask about our water supplier? Would we stay the same? Which could be a funky question because you've got Cedar Pines Park, you've got
No, it's
DOE.
not funky at all. It's a very
Really?
important question. It's a very significant question. Because the fact is you have water companies, but you have also water district. For example, Crestline Village Water District, all right, that special district will automatically come under the city.
That was what I was saying, it was funky.
Automatically.
That was my funky comment regarding the fact there were so many different of them.
Right.
How do you combine them with different processes?
The companies, because those are stockholders. I'm a stockholder in Cedar Pines Park.
Okay.
Steve, I'm sorry, I meant to introduce you.
No, I'm really glad you did.
Okay. So with the water companies, because now you have shareholders,
right,
we would have to negotiate with them coming under the city water department.
Would there be one department?
Yes, there would be one water department.
Okay.
That all of the water, our hope, but see, we can't insist, we can't force.
Right.
While every one of these water companies comes under our sphere of influence and becomes technically a part of the city, we can't force shareholders,
right,
to automatically become. So because they're a company now, not an agency, right? They're not a district, we'd have to negotiate that, and our hope is, and frankly, I'm very confident, that the city would provide better services than what some of us are already getting from our water companies. And here's an example. Valley of Enchantment Water Company is already, the lines are all right there. It's already really connected to Crestline Village Water District. It's a very simple process then for that to become part of this overall water, what's it called? Water department, excuse me.
Got it. Well, thank you for the clarity on that. Answering the questions, we appreciate it.
Okay, Raymond.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks for coming.
All right. Howdy, howdy.
Hey, Gwen.
But as of right now, it's going to remain the exact same. Nothing changes. But again, I think in the next 2 years, I don't know if you're the process of what's been going on. That lake is going to be beautiful. Still sees. Yeah, I hope so too. We've been fighting for 8 years to not even do this, but now, you know, the thing is almost completed. So it'll be a nice little thing once it's completed. They are, so they are talking 2019, everything will be for trees. It'll take us an additional season, winter season. So we're looking at 2020, summer season is really normal levels that we were used to 19 years ago. They are, yeah, they're still working on the dam part. You see all those trucks coming up and down Lake Erie Drive. They're running, I don't know how many trucks a day. Ray, you remember how many trucks a day they're running?
120 trucks a day. I've spaced out every 4.5 minutes, starting from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
There you go. So they're running dirt in to drop off at the dam, taking the truck over to San Lorenzo Ball Field, loading it, and then they're taking that dirt down to get it out of here. Because all that dirt that was on the ball fields was dredged material. It had too many organics in it, so it wasn't. They weren't able to use it to compact or get the right compaction.
Fish poop was the problem, apparently.
Right, but you know, the way things are going, we might have a nice lake in the next year. So, yeah, I don't think you have to worry too much about that.
We've only been here for 10 months. We live on Horst.
Right there, yeah. So you're looking at a big market. Yeah, that's bad.
You know, right ugly parts, right? You know, right across from here.
Well, you did good because you bought when the market was low, and as soon as that lake's done, it's going to blow up.
Hey, Mike. Real quick, everybody, this is Mike Johnson from Goodwin's Market. We are broadcasting live, and I had a question for you. The question is, will Lake Gregory become a city facility if they incorporate?
Lake Gregory,
the recreation.
Well, there are no plans to take any part of Lake Gregory within the city.
So it will remain ran by the concessionaire under control of the county?
So the county is currently in negotiations with Cal Parks for a long-term contract.
Okay.
If they get that deal, then they'll obviously run the lake. County regional parks will still run the lake, and they'll still have ownership of it. They'll have the rights to it. Everything will remain with county parks.
Okay, cool.
There's no plans to take that on.
That was the question. Will it
It's
become a city
big
lake?
animal. We got too many other things to get on.
All right, very good. That was that question, and that's the end of our questions. All right, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rich.
All right, everybody, so that's the end of your questions that I got sent either by private message or in the comments of this live video. Remember, the website that you go to in order to ask questions is incorporatelakeGregory.org. IncorporatelakeGregory.org is where you go. Did you have any questions for Rick Dinan? Rick Dinan was the one who was, I'm sorry, John Short. John Short was the one who was addressing all the other issues. Sorry about that, everybody. So this is John Short. Yeah, it's okay. We can wait.
How's the online streaming going? How many
It's still
people?
going.
Over 1,000?
About 2,000. It's like 1890 last time I looked.
That's impressive. That's nice for people that can't make it to the parking's limited.
And you know, everybody's worried about the fog too. That it would be foggy after the meeting. They're trying to drive across the river in the fog, so I get that, you know.
The weather can change.
I hear you.
Hey, my name's Will.
Well, nice to meet you. Raymond Ray.
All right, man.
All right. We're trying to get to John Short, so as soon as this crowd dissipates a bit, we will be able to ask him your questions. Actually, we did have one question for Steve. Let's ask Steve this question real quick about the online petition. Howdy, real quick. Live broadcasting. Steve, real quick question. Petition.org is a website you can go to start a petition in about 3 minutes. Is there plans to do an online petition that the viewers on this video and other people can just go sign online instead of find a piece of paper?
Yeah, we talked about that today. It's a possibility in the future for this first round of petition. We only need, according to LAFCO, 20 signatures, but we're hoping to show 50, 75 signatures that say...
Signatures or percent?
Signatures.
Wow, okay.
Now, for the big petition, okay, the community-wide petition,
right.
We have to have 25, we need 20%, and we're going to say we need 25 to 30% is what we're really trying
Just
to
in
get.
case you get some unregistered voters.
You got it. You need some wiggle room there. But for this first, there's two petitions. This first one just says, hey, there's enough citizens that want to do some exploratory, and that will start the process. We only need 20 signatures, but we're going to, produce 50 to 75, so we're just in paper this time. Yeah.
Well, I know that you've been standing here asking questions. In your opinion, do you think we got the 20 tonight?
I believe so. Yeah.
Believe so? All right, cool. All right, well, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. That was the question. One more question for John Short, and then we're out of here. Didn't mean to run you over, sorry. Let's see here.
We're having at our house, we had beer some available is a lot
They did, I will ask that question as soon as I get a chance to get up to John Short. I will ask that question. I believe that was in his wheelhouse. And then we also have Mick Hill standing right here also. We wanted to get a statement from him. Give me a quick second, and I will get up here with John Short. We'll ask that question. I'll see if Rick Diamond has the question, answer that question as well. Lots of questions.
That's probably the best thing to do. I think a lot of people say they want to stay away from the unfunded liabilities and everything, to the extent we can.
For those of you just joining, we are standing in line waiting to speak with John Short. We have some questions to ask him from our viewers about the Incorporate Lake Gregory meeting. A couple of questions about the police department and the ball field and the lake. So we will get those questions answered for you as soon as we get to the front of the line. We are second in line right now. So I appreciate your patience. Here we go. Well, I had hoped. Almost there. If you're watching the replay, and you can tell you're watching the replay by the red light at the top that says live, if it's not there, you can actually fast forward through all the times that we're standing in line waiting to speak with one of the representatives. But unfortunately, for those of you watching live, if you look up at the top left corner, you see that red live icon, there's no way to fast forward. Unless you're Dr. Emmett Brown and you have a DeLorean, no way to fast forward. Sorry about that. In the meantime, we'll remain patient and wait for our turn. Okay, John, been waiting for a while to talk to you. We got a couple of questions from online viewers that were pertinent questions. First one's going to say, what happens with the police department / sheriff's department if they do incorporate?
Well, we don't know that. We were just talking with Bill about that and whether it gets contracted out. I mean, a lot of people contract out.
They do.
As opposed to just hiring.
Highland does that. Highland has a sheriff's department.
Loma Linda does that.
Right.
Kaipa, they all contract with the sheriff.
So that's a decision that will be made later on in the process?
Yeah.
Perfect. The other question that they had for you was, now we talked to Mike Johnstone because the question came up with the lake recreation portion of the lake become under city control as a city facility, or would it stay with the county as a regional park? He stated that there's no plans for it to become incorporated with the city right now, especially since the county is negotiating a long-term contract with Cal Parks.
Agreed.
That being said, the second question that came up was, why would the lake and ball field still remain under control and jurisdiction of the county if we become an incorporated city?
Okay, and I'm not exactly sure legally why that is, but it's a regional park, and my understanding is that the county maintains regional parks.
Okay.
They're responsible for those.
Okay. Now, if they still have more questions regarding that, all they have to do is send an email or submit a request at incorporatelakeGregory.org.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah. And we'll take a look at those and try to get back to them.
Perfect. Okay, there you have it from the... Oh, you got it. So there you have it from the speakers on the stage. We were able to talk to almost all 5 of them and get all of your questions answered. The big thing that you want to take away from this is that if you have questions, go to incorporatelakeGregory.org and you can submit your questions and get them answered there. And just for the record, this was the room. where this historic meeting took place. You guys have a good night. Thank you for supporting mountainreporter.com. Check out our advertisers on the website. Click on any banner on the website. You'll be able to see who those advertisers are. We will have a good night. We will talk to you later.